There is a commonly held belief among almost every fan of the Yellowstone universe. It's the idea that Jamie Dutton is the villain. We see him as the rat, the spineless lawyer in the expensive suit who betrays his rancher family over and over again. You look at him and you see a snake in the grass. But what if I told you that reading is completely wrong? If you actually break down the narrative architecture of this show, if you perform a forensic analysis on the psychology of the Dutton family, you realize that Jamie isn't the villain. Jamie is the primary victim of a multi-generational meat grinder. Today, we are performing an autopsy on the psyche of Jamie Dutton. We are going to deconstruct why his life isn't just a tragedy, but a specifically engineered psychological hell where the parameters of success are designed to ensure he always fails. We are going to look at the double bind, the broken wheel, and the theory of learned helplessness to prove that Jamie Dutton didn't fail his family. His family consumed him. To understand the hell Jamie lives in, we have to look at the core principle of human psychology that Taylor Sheridan exploits in his writing: expectations versus reality. When we watch a Western, we have a very specific expectation for the adopted son trope. We expect one of two things to happen. Either he undergoes a trial by fire and becomes a true brother, earning his place at the table, or he rebels completely, burns the kingdom down, and seizes the crown. The torture of Jamie Dutton is that the narrative refuses to give him either outcome. He is locked in what we call a curiosity loop that never closes. He is trapped in a liminal state, a purgatory where he is constantly pulled toward redemption, only to be slapped back down by the very hand that offered it, usually the hand of his father, John Dutton. Think about the visual language of the show. You see Jamie standing in the vast, open plains of Montana. It should represent freedom. But for him, that open sky is a ceiling made of legal documents and barbed wire. He looks like a man in control, a high-powered attorney general. But if you look closely at the strings attached to his limbs, you realize they were cut years ago, and he's just flailing in the wind. Let's go back to the genesis of this curse. The foundation of Jamie's hell isn't built on what he does, but on how he is used. This is the tool metaphor. John Dutton views his children exclusively through the lens of their utility. Casey is the muscle, the soldier who protects the land physically. Beth is the shark, the financier who protects the land economically. And Jamie? Jamie is the shield. He is the lawyer designed to protect the land legally. But here is the catch, and this is where the psychological horror sets in. John despises Jamie for the very tool he forced him to become. Remember, Jamie wanted to be a cowboy. He wanted to be in the dirt. John forced him to go to Harvard. He banned him from the barns to build a pocket lawyer. There is a moment in season 2, a moment of pure devastation, where John tries to comfort a suicidal Jamie. He tells him, "Your grandfather used to say you can't fix a broken wagon wheel, but you can use the parts to make a new one." That right there is the stimulation shock of his entire arc. A father telling his son that he is fundamentally broken, and his only value is as a bucket of spare parts. It establishes that Jamie's value is extractive. He isn't loved for who he is tolerated for what can be taken from him. This dynamic creates a textbook psychological condition known as the double bind. This is where a victim is given two conflicting orders, and fulfilling either one results in punishment. Command number 1, be a Dutton. Be tough, be loyal, be a man, protect the ranch at all costs. Command number 2, don't be like me. Be a lawyer, live in the city, wear a suit, don't get your hands dirty. Jamie is punished every single time he executes either order. When he acts like a lawyer, rational, cautious, risk-averse, John calls him a coward and a weakling. But when he tries to act like a Dutton, when he shows ambition, or when he kills a reporter to protect the family secrets, he is shunned as a monster and a selfish traitor. He is clamped in a vice. If you were to graph this out, you'd see a terrifying correlation. As Jamie's sacrifices for the family go up, giving up his dreams, hiding bodies, murdering his own biological father, John's approval rating doesn't just stagnate, it drops into the negatives. It is the mathematics of despair. Effort does not convert to reward. And this brings us to Garrett Randall. When Jamie discovers he was adopted and that his biological father killed his mother, it opens a massive narrative loop. Is Jamie's weakness genetic, or is it nurtured? When Jamie meets Garrett, he gets a hit of dopamine, validation. Garrett tells him, "The Duttons stole your birthright." For a second, Jamie isn't the broken wheel. But Jamie's hell is redundant. Even his escape hatch is a trap. Garrett isn't a savior, he's just a mirror image of John, another manipulator using Jamie for his own vendetta. When Jamie kills Garrett in season 4, people called it villainous. I call it Stockholm Syndrome. He executes his biological father to please his abusive adoptive father. That is not the act of a villain, that is the act of a hostage. Now, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the event horizon of Jamie's character, the sterilization of Beth. If you're watching the show, this is the engine of the plot. This is why Beth wakes up every morning choosing violence. The facts are brutal. Teenage Beth gets pregnant, asks Jamie for help. Jamie takes her to the reservation clinic to protect the family name and Rip's life, and agrees to a procedure that requires sterilization without telling her the full cost. It's easy to look at that and say, okay, he's a monster. Case closed. But let's apply some context to this value loop. Jamie was an 18-year-old kid, terrified of his father. He made a catastrophic, utilitarian decision based on the one rule John Dutton drilled into his head: protect the brand. He sacrificed Beth's future fertility to save her present life from John's wrath. But because of this, Jamie lives in a state of chronic hypervigilance. You see it in his eyes in every scene with Beth. He can never enjoy a win. He becomes the Attorney General? Doesn't matter. Beth is there to remind him he's garbage. He finds a moment of peace? Beth is there to burn it down. Beth says, "I am the tornado, you are the trailer park." It's the perfect description. And for the audience, watching Beth destroy Jamie provides a sense of validation because she's a fan favorite. But structurally, it turns Jamie's existence into a torture loop. He is literally kept alive by the writers just so Beth has a punching bag to make her look strong. Here is the most frustrating part of Jamie's hell, and this is where the irrelevance problem usually kicks in for viewers. But stick with me because this is key. Jamie is actually the only competent person in the room. If you look at the track record, Jamie is a world-class litigator. He saves the ranch legally multiple times. He understands that you cannot fight the 21st century with horses and bullets. He pushes for the airport lease, a deal that would have made the family billions and secured the land forever. And what does John say? No. Jamie is the only rational actor in an asylum. There is a tragedy in his self-perception. He knows he is the modern sword of the family. He gives that famous monologue, "Lawyers are the swords of this century." But John keeps moving the goalposts. When Jamie runs for Attorney General, a move John originally authorized, John pulls the rug out from under him just because Jamie didn't answer his phone for a few days. He is punished for having ambition, but despised for lacking it. This brings us to the end. The final episodes. The death of Jamie Dutton, killed by Beth, disposed of by Rip, confirms the fatalistic nature of his narrative. There was never an redemption arc planned. The expectation was a grand showdown, a legal chess match where Jamie finally outsmarts them. The reality was a quiet execution. The writers used the code name Beth and Jamie Play Scrabble for his death scene. It's ironically perfect. Jamie thought he was playing a game of words, laws, and Scrabble. Beth was playing with knives. He brought a lawsuit to a knife fight. Many fans felt his death was anticlimactic. They felt cheated. But thematically, it is the final bar in his prison cell. Jamie Dutton didn't deserve a hero's death or a supervillain's monologue. His hell was to be discarded like the parts of a broken wheel John talked about years ago. He is dumped at the train station to rot alongside all the other problems the Duttons made disappear. He leaves no legacy. His son is barely mentioned. The dopamine ladder for Jamie doesn't end in revelation. It ends in deletion. So why did he stay? Why didn't he just take his Harvard degree and go to New York? The answer is learned helplessness. When you punish a subject long enough, unpredictably enough, they stop trying to escape even when the door is wide open. Jamie was conditioned to seek approval from the very source of his pain. He returned to the abusive home because the unknown, a life without John's approval, was more terrifying than the known hell. In the end, Jamie Dutton is a warning. He is what happens when you trade your soul for a legacy that was never meant for you. He died exactly as he lived, used, abused, and ultimately disposed of in the dark. If you want to see more deep dives into the psychology of the Yellowstone universe as we approach the finale, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We have a lot more Dutton family trauma to break down. Thanks for watching.